Yeah, because we found out about this topic on the black satellite.
Black satellite, yeah.
Actually, someone posted on the conspiracy talk, and he said we should talk about it. So I said, you know what? Leland was all into it and all interested about it in the time. So I said, you know what? Might as well. Why don't we do something before 2015 is over?
I guess Leland is an inventor or teacher, activist, and leader in the proper universe.
Yes, so we're going to really find out more about him.
But he's been on our show before, talking about the Magi connection.
Yeah, that's very interesting. The Magi. I listened to that show a couple of times myself.
Exactly. Oh, for sure, it's very interesting, and he's a deep researcher that specializes in these things, and we're glad to have him back on our show. And I think I'm gonna try and call him up. It's that time, I think, eh?
Yeah, well, we have a couple of minutes, but if he's ready, why not? I'll be ready.
Now, according to the intel that I've gotten, you know.
Okay, so call him up, bring him up. Let's dissect everything we can, because there's a lot to dissect tonight.
I know.
Right.
Let's go. Leland.
Hey, Robert.
Oh, me and Mario welcome you to the MnRTV live show once again.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's great to be back.
Exactly. So tonight we got a lot of big subjects to talk about: the Black Knight satellite disclosure, and a lot more.
Yeah, I've got some updates on some of my research, and I also got some great new material here on the Black Knight satellite, so I can fill you guys in on that too.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. So let's get cracking. I suppose. Are you ready?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've got all my notes here, so I'm ready to go.
Okay. Perfect.
All right. So, did you guys want to talk about the Black Knight satellite first, or maybe go over some of the stuff that I got some updates from the last time I was on the show?
It depends what Mario could show. Mario.
I'm just showing exactly what was sent to me.
Okay.
I don't know.
On the screen right now, is that my Twitch page or?
Yes.
It's on now. We got the Twitch page.
Okay. Yeah, so on my Twitch page here, I got all my different projects that I work on, some of my activism stuff and my Magi connections. And actually, since I was on your guys' show last time, I got hired by a group called Adept Initiates to talk about or write about blogs about the Magi. So I really owe you guys big time for having me on the show.
Congratulations for this.
Yeah, and then some of the other researchers that heard your show and wanted to share some of their stuff that they got that had to do with the Magi, and some of it was just incredible. There was a researcher named J.J. Ainsworth.
Right.
And she shared with me some of her research on some of these ancient tables for offerings and different rituals that she found in Egypt. And she wanted me to check to see if it matched anything that I found on the mountain. So then I don't know if you guys have the picture up there right now, but let me check here. If you click on my latest exploring discovery, it'll bring up, oh no, there, that doesn't bring it up. Do you guys got the Magi offering tables picture on the screen right now? Or?
We got the Magi Universal Internet.
Okay, so that's on there. So yeah, it shows a bunch of the different things that I discovered. The mountain actually matched the two pillars from Freemasonry. They have two that are pretty prominent. You can see it in that blog there. And pretty much if you want to just catch up on it, I guess we should get to the Black Knights. You guys can read the blogs later. I usually write some new ones about every week. And if you want to check out the Adepts Initiates page, it's all free to join. So if you want to do that,
sure, of course.
Okay, so covered that. And now I guess I'll bring up the slides that I got here for tonight's show.
Okay, yeah, we're on it.
Okay, the first one, the slide I got is the picture of the Earth with the Black Knight satellite. And what the picture shows here is actually the latest image that we have from NASA that is a picture of the full Earth. I know some of the flat Earth people have been talking about how the Earth hasn't had a picture since the Apollo days. But this picture here is actually, I think, just taken last year of the entire Earth from a new satellite they have.
Okay.
Or maybe not a satellite, it was a probe. And then I put a picture of the Black Knight in the bottom corner of it just to show that this thing's in a pretty high orbit around the Earth.
Who took a picture of that probe?
I think this picture is actually the one from the space station mission you guys mentioned earlier when you were going through this stuff, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and if you want to go into the next slideshow, I would just like to explain that they talked about too how it was Nikola Tesla who discovered this satellite.
Yes.
And just in case anyone doesn't know who Nikola Tesla was, he was one of the greatest inventors in history. And he was also fluent in a lot of the ancient terminology. So I think he was really into the ancients. He knew about the connections, and that's probably what helped him find this Black Knight satellite. It wasn't just the fact that he was one of the first people to doing radio experiments.
Well, he was one of the greatest ones, Nikola Tesla, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's funny how in the school system they always talk about Thomas Edison and all the other inventors, but Nikola Tesla seems to get a little bit skipped in the history books.
Well, that's what the elites wanted. They didn't want all this stuff to be taken into context and invented and mass-produced for monetary purposes.
Yeah, Nikola Tesla had a way of not sharing all of his information either. He kept a lot of it secret to himself as well. So I have a feeling that he probably knew a lot more about the satellite than he was letting on. But we did get some information about, I don't know, they calculated the orbit to, was it a high southern orbit, and it's believed to be 13,000 years old. But I couldn't really find any way to verify how they got this age of 13,000 years. Maybe they know something that we don't, right?
That's true. They could. That's possible. They don't know. They know more than we do sometimes.
Yeah.
Or they don't want to tell us what's going on.
Yeah. So if you want to go into the next slide, I've got another one of the Black Knight satellite.
Okay, right here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and this one just has another close-up so you can get a better idea of the shape of the satellite. Just in case anyone's listening to the show and can't see it, it's kind of like a, I don't know how you would describe it, almost like a school bus, but it has pointed ends on the front, sort of like fins coming out the back, and a lot of different triangle angles on it. So it definitely isn't something that's just ordinary space junk.
Is anyone piloting this?
Yeah, I kind of wonder that too.
Is there someone in there, or it's just remote?
Yeah, I think it could be either. A lot of the alien technology I've been looking at or researching these days shows that they were able to change the bodies into the light body before they went into the ship. So even if it is smaller or bigger, I'm pretty sure they could fit a lot of people or entities in it.
I'd love to go there and see it, just to see, you know.
Yeah, I'm almost thinking that if you did want to see this thing, you could probably go to Area 51, because they're saying that this thing has been gone from orbit on occasions when they've tried to track it again. They're not sure if it's landing or what it's doing, so who knows with what's going on at Area 51. This thing could be making regular pit stops there.
Or maybe it's from another dimension. It's happening to another dimension of reality.
Yeah, I always try to consider that possibility too. It's like it's not always going to be aliens from other planets. We have to consider the idea that there's also other dimensions here.
Exactly. I'd love to go also to Area 51 and Dulce base. I'd love to go there, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing that we have all these secret bases here in America that even our president, or I guess the American president, doesn't have access to. It's incredible to think that this stuff is right under our noses. Right?
I know. Do you think there's some, speaking for Canadian viewers, since you're Canadian, do you think there's Canadians also, the Canadian secret bases? I'm sure, right?
Yeah, I would imagine there is. When I was doing some of my exploring up north, I actually came across a number of abandoned military bases, even some that were built on dormant supervolcanoes. So who knows how many caves and dwellings they still have in there. They look abandoned on the surface, but who knows for sure, right?
Did you say dormant volcanoes? Because we have one right here in Montreal, Mount Royal.
Yeah, it's amazing when you go up north or even in Montreal here, there's so many dormant volcanoes. I never knew that before I started traveling up north.
Yeah, we have one right here in Montreal, so I wonder if there's a secret base somewhere. Mario and myself should go check that out, right, Mario?
Yeah, I would love that.
Nice. Yeah, that'd be a fun trip. Yeah, so I started to look into more about the cover-up, about what's going on with this Black Knight satellite, and I found a whole bunch of connections that go on with different science fiction authors who try to sort of give little tidbits out in their movies and stuff to let the public on to what's really going on. So maybe if you want to go on to the next slide, it's got the false probe data.
Oh, yeah, false probe. Yeah, right here, we got it.
Yeah, I've been tracking NASA's every move since, I don't know, maybe even elementary elementary school times, and I noticed that the probes are the only thing we ever get for exploration. It's like the manned space program took place before I was even born, and there hasn't really been any manned space exploration since. It's like we just send people up into orbit and then just hope that all the probe data that's coming back is official, right?
We don't know what they're doing up there. That's the problem. Maybe they're interacting with aliens, and they wouldn't tell us. Or what I heard also is we're not allowed. They're forbidden from talking. The aliens don't want that for whatever purpose that they have.
Yeah, I totally agree with that idea that they're not allowed to disclose what's going on. And that's actually what this next slide I'll be talking about here is. I'm sure you've heard of Gene Roddenberry before, the creator of Star Trek.
Yeah, I have.
Well, he was a great science fiction guy, and he was able to predict almost everything that we have today, like even our cell phones and stuff back then. But some people are saying, why? Why was he so way off on the spaceport exploration part? Like here he shows all these ships, and we're going to be flying around in space, but he was way off because we're not actually exploring space, and we're just doing probes and no ships with no people at all. But then I wondered, like, maybe he actually had an idea of what was going to happen in the future, and he couldn't disclose it openly because of the cover-up. So he actually released an episode of Star Trek Next Generation, episode 4, and it was called Clues. So I watched the episode to see if maybe he left a clue in it. That'd be kind of ironic if he left a clue in an episode called Clues, right?
Exactly, and all the technology that like in 1987 Star Trek, I think that's what in 1987 that Star Trek The Next Generation, they had tablets there.
Yeah, they even had the tablets and the touch screens and pretty much everything we're using today, except for spaceships, right?
Yeah, but maybe they have the spaceships where we're not allowed to see them.
Yeah, so we'll go on to the next slide. It's got a picture of Gene Roddenberry there.
Yeah, Ancient Space Conspiracy.
Yeah, so there's the cover of that episode that he released called Clues. And when I watched it, I don't want to give away the whole episode in case anyone else wants to watch it, but basically the overall theme of it was that there was an ancient space conspiracy going on of a race that was on the moon, and they warned us to stay away. Sort of like the idea that you heard probably with the different conspiracy theories about what happened on the moon, right?
Right, exactly, that they were told not to come back. And there's also there's also the other one that they never actually went to the moon. That's another conspiracy in itself.
Yeah, I've heard that one as well. I'm not so sure I agree with that one just because of what I found here, but I'll cover that coming up soon. So I was hoping, maybe someone got a chance to ask Gene Roddenberry what he meant by this episode called Clues, and if he really believed there was a conspiracy trying to stop us from exploring space and giving us nothing but false probe data in the process. But he actually died of a sudden heart attack right after the episode aired on TV. So that was the last one he got to make. No one got to ask him about what he meant.
It's as if he was attacked by the Illuminati, whatever, some kind of kill. They killed him somehow.
Yeah.
Remotely or whatever.
If that's true, if they really are knocking people off, or it's just a coincidence. But when you start seeing all this stuff mounting up, it almost looks beyond coincidence. Huh?
It does, and sometimes there are no such things as coincidences, as George Norrie says on his show. Sometimes I'm sure you've heard that before, no?
Yeah, Coast to Coast is one of my favorite shows. But yeah, so I think we'll go on to the next slide, and I'll show you. This one here, it's actually a title of a song. And the funny thing about this song is it's actually the opening theme song to one of the most popular science fiction movies regarding space. You've probably heard of it. It's called 2001 Space Odyssey by Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, I heard of it, yes.
Yeah, so Kubrick has often been mentioned in these conspiracy theories about not going to the moon, and that he filmed the moon landing as a fake excuse and all this. But kind of what I'm getting at with this theory is that I think Kubrick filmed the moon landing on the moon, or not on the moon, but on the Earth. But the reason he did is because what happened on the moon was just too much, and they couldn't disclose it, so they had to have an alternative film to use. So that's where I think his film came in.
Yeah, I mean...
So it's kind of the same theory, like that they didn't go to the moon that he filmed it, or that they did go to the moon and had to hide it, so he filmed it.
But how many people could have the fake moon, how many people were involved in this, you know? And how many people can actually keep a secret like this?
Yeah. Well, that's the weird thing. I don't know. I guess I could disclose it here on your show. I haven't really told anyone about this before too publicly, but I go to Toronto every year, and one of the years I was going to Toronto to do some research, one of the astronauts was doing a public speech. What's the name? Yeah, Buzz Aldrin.
Buzz Aldrin, yeah.
Yeah, he's the famous guy that punched a conspiracy theorist once.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure everyone's heard about him and how he reacts. So I really wanted to hear what he had to say about the moon. So what I did is I kind of bent the rules and snuck into this hall a bit early and managed to get a seat right in the front that I actually didn't even pay to get the extra front row seats.
Really?
Yeah, but it was one of those situations where it's like I couldn't resist. Seeing an astronaut in person was just incredible for someone who's still into NASA. Yeah? I was like a kid in a candy store there.
I can imagine. So what happened?
Yeah, but the really crazy thing that happened is when he walked into the room, and he was only a few feet away from me, I got the worst chill I've ever had in my entire life. Like every single hair on my entire body stood on end, like I'd just seen a ghost or something, right?
Okay, very interesting.
Yeah, and that was so weird because that's only happened to me like twice in my entire life. One time is when I was standing actually next to a polar bear when I was up north, and there was only a tiny little cage beside us, and it kind of got me off guard, and I got that same feeling. And then one other time too is when I got to meet Mike Tyson. He gave me that feeling as well.
Mike Tyson, amazing because Mike Tyson and
yeah, polar bear, Mike Tyson. Both of these guys have like really incredible power, and it's like almost I reacted to being like a spider sense or something.
Yeah.
So I was really puzzled. Like, why did Buzz Aldrin trigger this fear sense in me that I did not expect to happen?
It wasn't.
Like, he's one of my heroes. I thought he was gonna I'd be jumping for joy, sort of thing.
Like admiration, like if you meet some kind of your childhood hero of some kind.
Yeah, and then I couldn't believe what happened when he did his speech. Is he started talking about every single detail about how the ship was built and like every bolt and every thread and like every tech manual you can imagine. And his speech nearly put the entire audience to sleep, almost like a hypnotic state sort of thing, right?
It's almost as if it was for sure it was pre-programmed. The whole, you know. I mean, someone that goes to the moon and comes back, lives and tells about it is not going to be boring. His speeches are not supposed to be boring. Hey, I've been on the moon, and people go to sleep.
Yeah, you think it'd be the most incredible thing you'd ever hear about, right?
Exactly.
Why would he start telling you tech documents about what size bolts and screws you're using, right?
I'd rather, yeah, exactly. We don't really need to know the size and the screws and everything.
Yeah. So then, at this point, when he's got the entire audience almost asleep, I'm still on edge, just waiting for him to give a tidbit of information that's going to like break the case open on the moon. And out of the blue, what does he say? That his favorite experience or his all-time best thing that happened on the moon didn't happen on the surface. I was like, whoa, that's pretty big news. Like, if you're walking on the moon, or on the moon, you think that'd be the biggest thing. And you know what he said that the biggest thing turned out to be?
No, what?
Is when he did his first lap around the dark side of the moon, he said he looked down and the biggest crater that he'd ever seen in his entire life was on the backside, and it had a huge pyramid built right in the center of it. And I was like, you've got to be kidding. Did Buzz Aldrin just say there's a pyramid on the moon?
He actually said that.
Yeah, he said it. And I was like, oh my God, is the audience going to stand up and cheer? And everyone's like, still in this hypnotic state. It's like they didn't even hear it. They're half asleep sort of thing. I was like, wow, I wish I had a camera to record this. And it's like, I ended up going onto YouTube and found a few guys that recorded it, but most of their footage ended before it got to that point in the speech. So if anyone else happened to be in Toronto in 2008 and heard Buzz do this speech, like, we should really get a clip of that onto like, YouTube or something, right?
That would be great. So he actually said there was a pyramid. Did he elaborate on it after?
Yeah. So that's what I was hoping. Like at the end of this speech, there was a whole line of people that lined up for, I don't know, a good hour waiting to ask questions. And I was like, surely someone's going to ask him a question about what this pyramid was. So this little girl comes up and she gets to ask a question first. And she said something like, do you like NASA? And he answered that no, he doesn't think NASA's spending the money properly, that they could explore space a lot better. And then said goodbye and left everyone else standing there at the podium. So he didn't answer any questions, basically.
I would have loved to for his answer. I mean, a pyramid.
Yeah, that's like the biggest news I've ever heard from NASA or from a NASA astronaut. I can't believe that it's like how many years later and still no one's disclosed that yet. So you heard it here first on MnRTV that Buzz Aldrin disclosed that there's a pyramid on the dark side of the moon.
Exactly. We're going to have to put that in our tags and everything, you know, because that's like groundbreaking news, Lalan. My God.
Yeah, and then the funny thing too is I tried to do some digging to see if I could confirm what Buzz Aldrin said, and it's true that even NASA admits that this giant crater is on the dark side of the moon, and they say it's the biggest crater in the entire solar system. So it's like, how the hell does our moon have a crater that's that big? That doesn't make much sense either. Huh?
There must have been something that went there a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, it's supposed to be on the dark side of the moon. It's supposed to be ancient cities or whatever. It's moon structures and aliens working, an alien base.
Yeah. So my research got to the point where I was like, yeah, I really got to find out who this ancient civilization is on the moon, and if we got any secrets otherwhere that we can find it. And Stanley Kubrick, in his choice for this song for the opening theme for 2001, picked this title Zarathustra. And people that aren't familiar with the Magi might not recognize that name, but it's also another version of the name Zoroaster. So he's referring to the ancient Magi in his choice for a song for his movie 2001. And it's that same song that everyone knows, like the da 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 da. It's such an iconic song.
I know.
And so many people it blows right over their head or one ear and out the other that they don't realize the title of the song is giving away who is this ancient civilization. It's like Kubrick knew that it was the Magi.
And
so
also,
if you want to go on to the next slide.
Yeah, and don't forget also the song itself too. It's probably predictive programming itself. It's so like well known.
Yeah, and even the way it's sort of like it enlightens you, sort of thing. And it's like, wow, what an enlightening experience if you actually learned about the Magi. Because man, once you start getting into that can of worms, you've pretty much really started to see the bigger picture. You know? And if you guys want to go into the next slide that has Stanley Kubrick with the camera.
Yeah, we have it. Yeah, it's on right now.
There. Yeah, so in his movie too, he also revealed some of the secrets of alchemy. And I don't know, you guys had a few MUFON guests on the show recently?
We had 2 of them.
Yeah, and I think during that show, the topic came up about how Bigelow was built a space station around the Earth.
Yeah.
And he's like the leader of MUFON, or I guess the main financial backer.
He was, but I think he's not anymore from what I understand.
Yeah, so what I tried to do is find out, like, why is Bigelow building this space station? Like, I think you guys asked him what he was building it for, and they said they didn't know, right?
Right, yeah, they didn't know.
Yeah, well, Kubrick knows what the space station is going to be used for, and he's showing it right here in the top right picture. It's got a picture of the Earth, and then it's got a picture of a baby, sort of like in a womb, looking at the Earth from space, sort of like he's hovering in orbit around the Earth.
Doesn't that look, to me, doesn't that look like some kind of interbreeding program?
Yeah, what it is one of the biggest secrets of alchemy and the Magi is, the forbidden knowledge that they gave to Adam and Eve that I covered in the last show.
Yeah.
Is their secret is the zodiac, and the zodiac is made up of where you're born on the Earth, what time you're born at, and all this stuff actually changes how you're going to be born. So what the alchemy secret is there's a 13th zodiac that goes beyond the 12 zodiacs, and it's going to be the first person or human that's born in space that reaches this state of I guess maybe illumination or maybe a new hybrid program or something. But this I would assume is what Bigelow's doing with the space station. He's probably trying to conceive the first human in orbit to give birth to the first 13th zodiac.
Oh, that's amazing. And if you look at the bottom, it says he died at 70 also.
Yeah, just like Gene Roddenberry, I looked to see how long Kubrick lived, and he lived, I think, 666 days after the release of something to do with 2001. I think it came up on the show before, but yeah, he also died of a sudden heart attack at the same age. So there's another one. It's like, did he just die of a heart attack, or is it part of the conspiracy? No one will really know for sure, but it's starting to look a little bit suspicious to me.
It is. It can't be too many coincidences. One coincidence maybe, but not 2 of them.
Yeah. So there we got Gene Roddenberry. He warned us that we were going to not explore space and that there was an ancient race. And then Kubrick goes as far as to tell us who the race is. It's the Magi, and he even tells us what their goal is. So I think this Black Knight satellite plays into this big time. Like, it's part of this.
I have there's a question for you.
Sure.
Before, so do you that Susie is asking? So do you think the Kubrick? So do you think the Kubrick video saying the moon landing was a hoax is a hoax? It's out there making news.
Well, there is Yeah, I've seen that one come up in a few discussions, and to be honest, I just sort of skipped over it because I've watched so many Kubrick movies. I sort of have to pick which ones I'm going to watch, and don't really have time to watch them all. But one I did watch was the one made by Jade. He does a couple of things called Kubrick's Odyssey, and if anyone's into some conspiracy movies about Kubrick, like those are the ones that I like best by far. If they want to check those ones out, and that. Kubrick's Odyssey actually also mentioned the Alchemy or the Zoroastrian connection to the Zarathustra song. So I was like, wow, it's good to know that I'm not the only one who's starting to see this stuff. It's getting out there.
And in the chat room, there's a video that Kubrick confesses moon landing is a hoax vid.
So someone was telling me that it's a hoax, and someone was faking his voice or something. Maybe that's what it was. And they put a picture of him next to it or something. What, did you watch the video? Or?
No. This is somebody put it in the group in the chat room.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. Maybe there is something to it.
Yeah, just go in the chatango later on after the show. You'll see it.
All right, cool. Did you want to go on to the next slide,
Sure.
then, or any more questions?
No questions.
Okay,
for
cool.
now.
Yeah, the next slide I got is I started checking into NASA's history to see if any of the NASA astronauts were bold enough to say, hey, this cover-up saying that we can't go back to the moon has to end. And if anyone's actually going to work for NASA and be the big whistleblower like Edward Snowden was, right?
Right.
So then I checked the archives, and what do you know, that one of the very first astronauts took a lemon and hung it on the space capsule and told everyone that the NASA program was not working properly and that they were faking a lot of crap, right?
Oh, and don't forget, NASA stands for never a straight answer.
Yeah. So there's proof right here that even some of the top NASA astronauts at that point were like, hey, someone's got to step forward and say something here, right? Something's not right. And then, I don't know, did you guys hear what happened to Gus Grissom after he made that disclosure?
No clue.
All right, well, if you want to go on to the next slide, you can see Gus Grissom and his crew. After they made this disclosure announcement, they knew, I think, by this picture that things might go bad if people didn't back them up. Like Edward Snowden had a whole bunch of people back him up, but he still had to leave the country, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, he's in Russia right now.
Yeah. So
instead
of leaving the country, these guys were so brave that they actually stayed here, and they were like willing to be there, put their lives on the line to get this message across, right? And then guess what happened is their message didn't get out because we didn't have the internet, I guess, back then.
No, we didn't.
And an accident happened on one of the landing pads shortly after this picture was taken of them praying, and these guys were all burned alive in a capsule. They took the capsule, NASA did, filled it with pure oxygen, and the slightest spark ignited it, and they were all burned alive. They wouldn't even open the door to let them out.
Oh my God, this was done deliberately by the elite.
See, that's the thing. The families knew that Grissom had made this disclosure thing, and they were pissed, and they wanted an investigation, just like the families from 9/11, right?
Right.
So if you go on to my next slide, they actually did get to the point where they hired an independent quality control and safety inspector.
Okay.
So he investigated this Apollo 1 fire and wrote a 500-page report, and he agreed. He noted all the irregularities that NASA violated safety protocols. And then guess what? 6 days after his testimony, him and his entire family were killed in a horrible train wreck.
Oh,
and that was the end. That was the end of the investigation. So there's still families from Gus Grissom's family and the other crew. They still want a new investigation in this, just like the 9/11 family still want an investigation for that.
So powerful people are getting rid of these people. They don't want the information out there.
Yeah, but this train wreck was such a freak accident. It makes you wonder, it's like, can this really be happening by accident? And it happened right at the same time. So I don't want to say that they were killed for sure, but it is starting to look suspicious. Right?
But the thing is, these people have powers beyond anything we know. They probably use the Luciferians, they probably use the demonic powers or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I started to get really upset about what was going on with NASA, and I was thinking they're a horrible business or organization, and they're really not helping anyone. But then when I started thinking about it some more, like, what happens if it's true that this alien civilization warned us not to come back and use death penalty as a threat, right?
Right.
Like, if you want to go on to the next slide. Just got a picture that shows the Magi connection above the moon. top right, it's got a picture of some pharaohs from Egypt, and then it's got a picture on the top left. It's got the connection to the Magi, or Ahura Mazda, and the Freemasons. So that's basically what this is sort of summarizing, is maybe NASA isn't really these bad guys that we're leading them out to be, but they have no choice. Because if they don't do this stuff and stop us from exploring space, then we're going to pay the ultimate price. I don't know if they're threatening to destroy the Earth or just our civilization or what it is, but maybe NASA isn't the satanic organization we've been pegging them to be.
But the thing is, if you look at the pharaoh, beside the pharaoh, it looks like it is a being. That looks like an alien gray.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's like the Freemason, it looks like, from what I can tell, logo.
Yeah, maybe that could be part of where the Freemasons come in and the Illuminati and all this too, is maybe they're all in on this and they know about the secret about not going back to the moon. They know we're not supposed to explore space, and then the only reason they keep it secret, hopefully, is to help us and not for some nefarious purposes.
I hope so. I hope it's not nefarious, but when it's done by the U.S. government, you know, you gotta wonder sometimes.
Yeah, and if you want to go into the next image, it's just got a picture of some of the NASA astronauts and some girl dressed as a robot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see her. Yeah.
And she's actually dressed as the Curiosity rover. And if anyone doubts that this stuff I'm talking about, the cover-up, is actually true or not, they can use the Curiosity rover as their #1 point of evidence. Because a lot of people don't know. I read all the specs about every NASA program, and I pretty much know every piece of equipment that's going to be on there. And they put an HD camcorder on this rover. And have you guys seen any video come back from Mars yet?
No.
Yeah, so isn't that kind of suspicious that we got a video camera that can film HD on another planet for multiple years, and they won't send us back any video?
Well, they're probably gonna wait. They're gonna doctor it and edit out stuff.
Yeah, I started a bit of a firestorm on the NASA website because I went onto the forums and I started begging them every single day to release some video back.
And what happened?
What happened was at first they kept ignoring it, but then a couple other people were reading my post and they're like, hey, that guy's right. They should release some video. So then after, I don't know, maybe hundreds of people started posting asking for video, NASA actually came forward with an official reason why they're not sending any video back. And they said video from another planet would offer no scientific value. I was like, what? You gotta be kidding. Like, the first video from another planet wouldn't offer any science? It's like there's a lot of things you can tell from a video that you can't tell from a photo.
Exactly. It's because they're not allowed to, or they don't want to, they're not allowed.
Yeah.
Forbidden knowledge.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that, like, how long are we going to let this go for? Like, people should really push NASA and say, hey, if your guy's probe is really on another planet, just send us back some video to silence all the conspiracy theorists. Like, video is a lot harder to fake. If they keep sending probe images back, we know that that could easily be Photoshopped. But if they send video back of, say, an eclipse or some amazing alignment in space at night, like, there's a lot harder to fake that video. They could settle the debate for good.
But for some reason, they don't want to. There's something on Mars that they don't want us to see.
Yeah. No, I think that's what it is it's part of this plan that they're not allowed to let humans explore space. So they're just going to keep making these false rovers. And another thing that came up with the flat Earth thing, too, is, like, a lot of people saying that if you don't believe NASA is honest about everything, that you think there's a flat Earth. But for me, I think that NASA is actually a pretty honest organization for all of their research around the Earth. Like, it's going to be a lot harder to fake any of that stuff, so why would they bother? Why would they just release the real information, right?
Exactly. I've got a question for you here.
Sure.
So does Lalande believe we have gotten past the Van Allen radiation belts with our 1960s amazing technology?
Well, the thing is, back in the 60s, the radiation was bad, and I think they made it through, not because that they conquered the radiation, but back then safety restraints weren't as bad. Like, you could have a mission and have 5 people die, and they'd be like, well, let's do another mission, that sort of thing, right?
Right.
It's like nowadays we're in a society where everything has to be perfect, and you can't have anything slightly unsafe, or you wouldn't be allowed to do it. So I think they made it through the radiation, and I think they got some damaging effects from it. But it's weird, the astronauts did live really long, so I guess that kind of could support the idea that they didn't make it through. So Could be either. There's abundant evidence for both cases, really.
Exactly. So we go.
Yeah, I guess if you guys want to go on to the, I think this would be the last slide I got for today.
Okay. Yeah, we got it now.
Yeah, so some of the research I've been doing for the Adept Initiates project is looking into different aspects of the occult.
Okay.
And then trying to figure out the symbolism that's in them and explain it to people so that there's no mystery involved, that we don't wonder if it's satanic or we don't wonder if it's this or if it's that. We can just put it all on the table and let people decide for themselves what it means, right?
That's right. Exactly.
So,
go ahead.
So this Christmas picture that I have here is an ancient tablet, and I think it's from the Sumerian era, even though that the text at the top doesn't match. It's not uniform. But what it is the three Magi that I talked about that visited Jesus last time on the show.
Yeah.
Well, when those three Magi came, they already had their own religion, and obviously it wasn't Christianity because Christ wasn't even born at that point, right?
That's right.
So this is one of their tablets that they would have been following. And this gives an example that the three wise men, I don't know if you've heard the story how they followed the star, and a lot of people think it was just like a lighthouse.
Yeah.
In the way. Well, the problem that came up when they studied the science of it is that you couldn't just follow a star because it wouldn't line up properly to lead you to a certain location. And that's what this picture shows. Is the Magi are these guys dressed in red robes. They stand around a tree, and then they look up at a star. And this holy star of theirs isn't some magical lighthouse. It's an internet connection. Sort of like that universal internet I was talking about last time on the show.
Yeah, I recall. Yeah, you talking about an ancient technology, an ancient internet grid.
Yeah, so this is what the Christmas tree in everyone's living room is actually symbolizing. And I think that's even what the red robes came from Santa. I don't know, was Santa some sort of German creation or something?
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that, but
yeah, so I didn't really look into the origins of that Santa, but I'm pretty sure that if these guys were wearing red robes and they're gathering around a Christmas tree underneath a star, that maybe Santa's creation had something to do with the people that knew about this information.
that's amazing. You know, that could be that's the Christmas tree that people have in their rooms, which is actually some kind of internet connection grid.
Yeah. So here these guys didn't need to follow a lighthouse. It wasn't that primitive technology. They were able to connect to the internet, and this internet told them how to get to Jesus, when he was going to be born, that he would be the next prophet. And it's kind of sad to think that a lot of people these days don't even believe that Jesus existed when you start reading the post.
I know, a lot of people think he's just a fictional character. It gets me so angry.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. If people are wondering for themselves if Jesus was real or not, these Magi guys, if you go over to, say, Syria and all the places that are going on with the wars right now, is they have the tomb of the Magi there. It's no mystery to them who it was. And a lot of this stuff isn't a mystery. The only way it became a mystery is when the Vatican took it, gave it to us, and then they took out all the meanings of it. So we're like, oh, what does a Christmas star mean? Oh, some lighthouse pointing the direction, right? Or like the Adam and Eve story. Like, they don't tell us that this is the tree that Adam and Eve were around. And then people start thinking of talking snakes instead of an internet connection. It's quite a jumbled mess, really, right?
The whole thing's a mess.
Yeah. And then the thing, too, is when I'm studying all these ancient stuff, like, how do I really know that these ancient guys had it right, too? Maybe they based theirs on something else, and their whole thing could be completely wrong as well. But I'm just showing what they had. So I don't know if what they had is true. It's just way older than our Christmas tradition, almost the same.
Exactly. It's almost as if Christmas had to be, they made Christmas happen. Whether we believe it or not, it was part of the plan to have Christmas.
Yeah, maybe some of your listeners, like I know I was teaching a class in London recently, and I was lucky one of the students in the class knew all about the Magi, and I was like, wow, this is incredible. So maybe there's some listeners that are listening to the show and know a bit about the Magi too, and they could help me out with this slide. Because I've sent it to a bunch of experts, and no one's able to determine what the text is at the top. Like, you know, beside the star, we've got some characters here. And usually when you talk about the Anunnaki and the Sumerians and all that, you get these triangle letters called cuniform.
Okay.
But this lettering here doesn't match cuneiform. I don't know if it's supposed to be an earlier form of cuneiform. I tried looking it up, and no one seems to be able to match it.
Could it be an alien language?
Yeah, it could be. But actually, the closest match that I found for it so far, it might help anyone who's able to research this better than me, is I took some of the ancient tree symbols that were from, what is it called, Vedic text, the ones from India. And then I took some of the characters that were above theirs, compared them to the ones above this star, and they almost match. So I was like, hey, maybe this is that missing link between the Sumerians and the Vedic text that we've always been looking for.
That's very fascinating.
Because we always say, like, which civilization is the oldest? Is it like the same Zachariah Sitchin said? Is it the Anunnaki? Is it the Sumerians? Or could it be another civilization like the Vedic text says they have history going back millions of years? So that would be conflicting against the Sumerian and the Vedic. But now we have this link here that, well, maybe the Sumerian and the Vedic actually linked at one point.
In a few weeks, I'm getting an alien technology linguistic specialist. I should send.
Oh, really?
I should send the guest this picture.
Yeah, see
after
if you
the
can
show.
narrow down what that text is. Like, I don't even care what it says. Morally, just wanted to know what language it is.
Yeah, maybe she can tell me what this is.
Yeah, so far my best guess is that it's Sumerian cuneiform, or it could be Assyrian. I guess it could have the connection to the Vedic there, but yeah. And then you notice too that these Anunnaki guys are carrying that same bag that I talked about on the show. And I think the reason they're carrying this bag is because they have water in it, and water is one of the key symbols or tools you need to use to mirror the image from the star. If you don't mirror that image with water, you're just going to be looking at a regular star type image.
Speaking of Santa, because someone's talking about Santa, what do you make of what's your take on what's his name, Krampus?
Krampus. I think he was the Norse version?
It's like some kind of like he takes the bad children. There's like a movie out on Krampus right now.
Oh, really? Yeah, I briefly scanned over it, but I didn't see the details on Krampus. No.
Okay, he's supposed to scare Satan himself. Krampus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's supposed to be very scary looking.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so I guess that would be it for the slideshow. But
well, time will tell, my friend. But we've got to end the show.
Yeah, thanks a million for helping me get this plan out here. I know that we went a little bit over the time.
Oh, it's okay. Well, we want to thank you for coming on our show, right, Mario?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, this is just amazing, you know. And we've got to make this show go viral, folks. So share the show and let's see what Lalonde's plan can do.
Yeah, this plan could help the refugees and it could help everyone at the same time. It's like you don't have to pick one side or the other for this plan.
Definitely. Well, all right, Lalonde, we'd like to thank you for coming on our show.
All right, thanks a million, you guys.
And you'll come back very soon. And that's it. So we want to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Oh yeah, Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays. I should say not Merry Christmas. Whatever people celebrate these days, it's all different. But that's it. So thanks and have a great night.
Thanks, you too. Talk to you guys later.
Definitely. Bye. Well, Mario.
Yes, lots of info.
Lots of info, a lot of information, and maybe just maybe a plan to defeat the New World Order and make things right again. At least it's worth a shot. Definitely, I agree.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, Mario?
No, that's it. There's nothing else for me. There's a lot of information.
There's a lot of information, yes. And we'll be back January 13th, folks. Have happy holidays, safe holidays, be well, and God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Well, 13. But who knows? Before or late, who knows? We'll try and be.
Well, back
right?
on the 13th, yeah.
Around that time. We'll let you know. Just keep looking at our
blog.
blogs and that. All right, so we're out of here. Thank you very much for watching. Right, you people are the best. Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you very much. You're the best. We'll be back. We will be back. All right.
2016.
Yes, 2016. Another great year. Lots of promises. All right. Good night. Bye.